Time freedom may be one of the biggest reasons that you're actually building your network marketing business. However, as your team continues to grow, you may be feeling like you have less and less time and you're becoming more and more stressed. Well, here's the great news. If you put the right systems and processes in place and you do the right things, you can continue to grow your business and experience time freedom. And today's guest has done just that. And she had a lot of challenges. She moved to this country in 2007. She didn't even speak the language. So she moved to a new country, learned the language, joined network marketing, became a student of the profession, and then went out and built a massive team of tens of thousands of people, all while continuing to have time freedom and loving every bit of the process. So today she's going to share with you how she did that and much more coming up. Hey, this is Darin Kidd. Welcome to my leadership podcast. This podcast is for network marketers that are looking to build and grow not only just their business, but their leadership. You're looking to break through to that next level. You love helping people. You love having fun. So if that sounds like you, you're definitely in the right place. Make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Today, I'm excited about our guest because she, if anyone could use something as an excuse, she probably had some good excuses. She moved to this country back in 2007. She could not speak English. So obviously, she probably had no contacts, no followers. Social media wasn't really a big thing back then. And especially for her, she's like, Darin, I had no following. But you have to go out, learn English, be able to connect with people, build a team of 50,000 people, become a top earner in network marketing. Those are some huge accomplishments. And so today I am excited to have Andrea Hutcheson with us. Andrea, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much.
Hey, I'd love to hear, first of all, as we get started, so how were you introduced to network marketing and what brought you to the US? I'd love to just kind of hear that whole journey because a lot of times we have excuses, and we
Mhm.
make those excuses and we kind of let ourselves off the hook. But for you to have the challenges that you had coming to a new country, learning a new language, having no contacts, I would love to know, and I know everyone else would as well, you know, how did that all happen?
Oh my goodness, it was crazy. I finished high school when I was 16. I got into college when I was 16 in my country. And when I was 17, that's when my mom asked me to come to the US. That's why she came here so that we can come here legally and, to have more opportunities. I really didn't want to come here. But my dad was like, just go there, get a college degree and come back and you're going to make more than you have ever have because you'll learn English. So I didn't know English at all. I only knew, just like you guys know, Spanish. Hello, the colors, the numbers, and that's basically it. And so one of the biggest challenges before I got into network marketing was that I needed to go back to school here in America. And I just like, seriously, I have to go to high school again when I just finished it. That was a big challenge. So I was very quiet, but that really helped me with learning the language. I learned the language by watching TV and using the captions on the bottom. I read a lot of books. So I basically learned to read before I spoke. Because I was so scared of saying the wrong things and that people will laugh at me because of my accent or that they can't understand me. So I was challenged by that a lot. Then I got into college. I did finish high school here again, and I got into college, but I was introduced to network marketing in 2012, and I went to a home party. So back in the day, we didn't even have Facebook, we didn't have technology, we didn't have Facebook Live, YouTube was barely, starting. And so I saw an opportunity with the company that I am in, and I was just like, why not? I want to get out of debt. And I want to be able to have extra money to help other people because I was always living paycheck to paycheck. So I joined this company, and you would think, here's the thing, my husband, he lost his job for a whole entire year, so we were living off savings while I was going to college. And when I found network marketing, I wanted to pay off debt. He got a new job. I was going to school full time, and the challenge was that I didn't know anyone. we were in so much debt that I didn't have the funds to even join the company that I was in with right now. So I had to sell some things of my own. So there was no option. Like I didn't find out excuses to not be able to do this. I just went and did it. Like I sold purses and shoes. I sold and presented other things so that I can earn my money for that kit that we wanted because I saw a possibility here. And then in college I have financial aid and I had a scholarship, and so they will give you money so that you can purchase your books. Well, in my case, I was like, I don't care. Like for the books, I can buy me like cheap books, like somebody can just sell it for like $10, and I don't care what it looks like. I'm gonna spend this money, this $1,000 that they're giving me, to put more into my inventory and into my business. So I took the money from my husband's financial aid and my financial aid to purchase and to get into this business. So, when you think about challenges that you had to go through, I can think about so many scenarios when I first joined. We were living in a trailer. Well, it first started with a room. We just got married, sleeping in a bunk bed, my brother sleeping on the
That's got to be
top.
tough on a
Like
marriage.
it was just
Yeah, when the
awful. And then
brother
we
is
got
in the
into
room
a
with you on the
trailer.
bunk bed above you,
Yes.
that has to be hard on a marriage.
Awful. And then we got into a trailer, and then we finally were able to rent an apartment, but we didn't have any furniture because we left everything in our first state. We moved and we left everything there, so I couldn't have people over that I just met for my lunch party. So I looked for ways to find a lunch party place, and that was at a museum, Darin. I asked the museum people if I can have my party here, and it cost me $0. So I didn't know people. I just started working at the college. I just started going to school. But guess what? A few people from church that I just started meeting. We just moved to a different state, and then I just went and made a bunch of flyers and I passed them out of the parking lot of Walmart. And I was like, whoever comes, I don't know if they're gonna kill me, but we got to get people here at the museum. And so it was a really big success. I sold a lot that I needed to sell, made my money back, and it just I really believed in it. So that's part of my
Oh
story
my goodness,
with joining
so many
network
great
marketing.
parts to that story. And by the way, you and I have some things in common. First of all, you were worried about someone making fun of your accent. I still have people because they laugh at you. I have people laugh at my accent all the time, right? Your English is amazing. And what little bit of accent that you do have definitely sounds a lot more intelligent than my accent. You don't want to hear if you went in for surgery, you don't want to hear someone with
Thank
my accent, right? Like, "Hey, what we're going to do is cut you over here." And it doesn't sound intelligent. So I love yours a lot better than mine. And my wife and I lived, when we first got
thank
married, in a trailer as well. Okay. I called it a tendominium at the time. And it was pretty fancy though, Andrea. It had a heart-shaped tub, but the hot water heater was only like 20 gallons, so you could never get in it because it would only have cold water. But anyway, that's fun times. And I mean, and there's nothing
Oh
wrong with that. That's part of our
no.
story, right? And so I love the fact that you looked at excuses, or no, you looked at challenges from a different perspective. So what would you say? We have people that are you're going to be listening and watching to this interview, and there's different devils at every level. There are challenges when you're completely struggling just to get
Mhm.
started. Then there are bigger challenges as you grow a bigger team. So how do you look at challenges now? Is there anything that you wish you would have, thought about or looked at them a little bit differently back then, or have you always had a great perspective when it comes to challenges?
So a lot of people, they say you're born a leader. They tell me I was born to be a leader, but I don't think I was born to be a leader. I just learned how to be a leader, and I'm always looking for solutions. I'm always looking, unfortunately, to fix things because I want to help people. And so, one of the biggest things that I've gained through network marketing that I wish I could have known when I first started is my self worth. I didn't think I was that I thought I needed a rank to be able to know how amazing I was. I thought I needed to have a big team to know how amazing of a leader I was. And it took about 9 years now to be able to finally know my value and who I am. But imagine how much confidence would I have in the beginning, you know? I just kind of like faked it, you know? I was like, well, we're going to do this whether I'm scared or not. I had to face my fears. So, but as you are, you know, you commit to something, you know, then you learn that you are capable to do things, and then you start having a passion for those things, and then you gain the confidence. So confidence doesn't start when you first begin. You start gaining confidence when you do the things that you're scared the most. And I always say your breakthrough will come when you face the biggest fears that you have. So with my team, you know, as a new leader, I thought I needed to do something for them. We didn't have the, you know, technology and everything, so I started a YouTube channel and I started helping people, because why not? Why do we have a scarcity mindset on sharing what we learn? I mean, you learn it from somebody else, whether it's a book or somebody you listen to. So it's not your first idea. So why not share it in a way that maybe it will speak to somebody else? And that's what I did. Um, you know, I faced the biggest fear that, to talk to people in English and just train in English, because back in the day we didn't have our Spanish community yet until after 4 years later. And so, you know, I feel like, you know, I don't think I regret all the things that I've learned here, because now I'm able to even help more people. But boundaries was one of the big ones. I was working a lot. I was working a lot. And my husband would say, well, you know, you don't have time for me. And, you know, I am in the ministry. So I'm like, you don't have time for that. And, you know, and so I learned about time management, you know, 5 or 6 years later. And I'm still learning about that. But that's one of the biggest things that people struggle with, time management. We, we feel valuable when we're working 24/7, and we don't need to feel that way, you know? We know who we are and what we're capable of, so why not ask, you know, who can do this instead of how can we do this? So that's one of the things that I wish I would have learned, time management, when I first started.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of leaders that are listening to this right now that are going, "Oh my gosh," you know, it's refreshing to hear that you doubted yourself, that you were scared, you were fearful, but yet you faced your fears, and yet courage is feeling the fear, but you do it anyway. So you had courage, and what I've experienced, no matter what level we achieve, there's always fear to get to that next level. You know, there's always that self-imposed limitation that you have to break through. And I mentioned this on a previous podcast, you know, Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich. He goes, look, when you go through those challenges, when you face your fear and you face those obstacles and you're introducing yourself to the next better version. And what's fascinating, Andrea, I was talking to a friend of mine that just went to a big mastermind in the digital marketing space. And she goes, Darren, there were people, I'm talking about some of the most successful people in the world at what they do. Every single one of them said they still fight with the imposter syndrome. They feel like they're not worthy. They doubt their worth. And I think that's something that we know, hey, look, it's going to be
Wow.
there. It's completely normal. It's natural, but you feel the fear. You do it anyway. You punch fear in the face and you continue to move forward. And then that story, just like you sharing your obstacles, your challenges, you know, you're being vulnerable. You know, hey, look, I'm just being honest with you. Here's how I felt. But I go, we're going to do this thing. That is inspiring to a lot of people. So I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing
Thank
those things because that's going to help a lot of people go, you know what? You know, it's not just me. I can do this. And when you talked about, you know, time freedom, I agree. That's a constant battle. People say have a balanced life. I don't think it's ever balanced. There are point in times in your life you're a little more balanced, but I think it's so hard to have a completely balanced life, especially when you're in that building mode. You know, being an entrepreneur, do you agree that, you know, sometimes we have to give up to go up? There's a season of sacrifice that we go through. Do you agree with that?
um Yes and no, because you can't really have a harmonious life. So harmonious and balance is almost the same. To me, I used to believe that I couldn't have balance, but once you figure out your life roles in life, you really, and having those minimums in there, you won't beat yourself up so much. You know, I think we beat up ourselves so much and we have the imposter syndrome. and we have all of those things. But once you figure out like your life roles, you feel you have so much more value in yourself and much worth, that you don't feel overwhelmed anymore. Like, how many times do you get up in the morning, Darren, and you're like, okay, what am I going to do today? But once you start writing down those three things on those life roles that you have, and when I say life roles, it's like, I'm a wife, I want to take care of my husband. I'm a child of God, so I'm going to take care of my relationship with God and me. And with that, with those boundaries and time freedom, I used to put myself on the bottom of that list. I didn't take care of myself, because I thought that if I take care of everybody else, I was being a good person helping them. But I can't help somebody with an empty cup. I
Mm,
can't help on an empty cup if I'm not taking care of me and protecting that energy that I have for other people. I can't give them that. I can't give them that excitement and then show them. But a lot of times, I think the network marketing profession says that we can't have a balanced life, but I truly believe you could. Like, I believe that you can, when you just put those life roles and stop expecting so much of yourself. Just focus on those little things that you got to do every day. Like, for me, is like on network marketing, I do my power hour, right? So I focus on connections, I focus on prospecting, I focus on referrals, and I focus on following up with people. And if I do that every single morning, I don't worry about it later in the day. And if I can do it again, I'll do it again if I have more time, right? So, but sometimes we put ourselves in this box that we don't have time, and you keep telling yourself you don't have time. When, let's just say, you go and make a schedule, you're going to see how much time you have and how much you're spending on things that you shouldn't be spending on. Or because you think that you have to do everything, you don't want to delegate to people. And that's where the balance comes in, because you don't want to learn how to delegate, or you're afraid to ask somebody to do something for you. Are you afraid because they're not going to do it as good enough for you that you would, if you were to do it? Or are you afraid because you don't want to bother people when they need to be challenged sometimes? And that's a part of a role of a leader, where we have to challenge people in areas that they need to work on. But I work full time before, and I was going to school full time. And guess what? I feel like people with part-time jobs and full-time jobs do a better job than those who work from home, because they have so many hours in a day, and they will get it in there, and they will be very, very specific with their time. I feel like they're so much better. So when we get into our home, and now we're doing this full time as a network marketer, then we feel like we're not doing enough. And
yes.
it's like, no, but that's why we're doing this, so that we can enjoy life, so that we can have time freedom with our family, so that we can fly and go to Belize, right? So that we can do things that we never thought possible. But if people think that if they join network marketing and you're going to be 24/7 busy, why would they want to join what we have? If we tell them that they can't have a balanced life, why would they want to join you know, if they cannot have that? So does that
Yes.
make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does make sense. So it sounds like to me you have a funnel or a filter system, and faith, big part of that.
Yes.
Your family, big part of that, and taking care of you. I love you said I can't serve someone from an empty cup, and then you have the finances last. And so
Mhm.
when you run your everything through that filter, it allows you to try to balance things out the best that we possibly can.
Right.
Yeah, nope,
You know,
that's
I
awesome.
think, sometimes we also think that people, we bring them into what our dream is. What are you doing this for? And sometimes we give them our vision of ourselves, but is that what they want? Why don't you ask them what they want? And by doing network marketing, what is it that they want? And it's okay if it's just $10,000 a month. I'm going to make $1 million a month, and that's just what I want. How about you think about what you want? But sometimes we look at things, and we're thinking about the future, and we say when we get there we're going to be happy. How about you're happy now?
Mm,
How about you focus on all the things that you're learning, and you compete with yourself, because we compete so many times with other people. But how about you compete with yourself and you become better than you were yesterday? How about you celebrate yourself? We don't often celebrate ourselves, and we need to celebrate ourselves, and focus on the gains that we have today instead of tomorrow. I think that's one of the biggest things that happened with me, because I got to the top of the company after 4 years, and it took a little bit longer. And I learned so much from that, but I did it without social media. So when social media launched in 2017, we went from 1,500 team members to 24,000 team members in 1 year, and
Mm.
that was a lot. And that was a lot of pressure on myself because I wanted to help everybody, and I didn't have a funnel, and I didn't have time management. And I will give my time freely to everyone that wanted it instead of people who deserve my time. And so, sometimes we feel like we're being good, but that's not helping people when you just give your time to everyone else that don't deserve your time. And so, you know, I don't know where I was going with this, but
Hey, let me tell you something. If we just take that one clip, because this is something I don't know about you, I have to remind myself of this daily. We always go, someday when we
Mhm.
get to that, we'll be happy. And we've heard success is a journey, not a destination, blah, blah, blah. It sounds good. It's good on a wall, a framed up or whatever.
Right.
But the truth is, it is the journey and the process every day that we need to enjoy in its perspective of, celebrate. I love how you say celebrating your success because that builds confidence in the little wins. And if we focus on what we don't have, then that totally changes our perspective and we move in the direction of what we expect and what we're focusing on. So many great tips and so much great value in just that segment alone. And so, with that, I want to transition into, I know you and I were chatting right before we started this interview, and you go, man, time freedom is so important to me. Well, when you have a team of tens of thousands of people, how do you have time freedom and not have everybody pulling on you? And I know that you said you have some systems in place. So I like to talk about what are those things that you put into place that allow you to still have time freedom and duplicate leadership and still help other people.
Absolutely. So we do have trainings, right? We do trainings twice a week. I delegate a training and then I do a training once a week because I want to pour into everybody, right? But then I choose people in different legs and different levels that I think are doing really, really good, that deserve my time. They're not asking for it, but I see them working and, getting to a different levels every single month. So I connect with them and then I set up a meeting with them and then I challenge them. Now, we also do weekly accountability meetings, which helps me with my leaders to only have one meeting a week instead of having 24 meetings in a week. I only have one meeting. I have all those leaders between 10 to 15 people that are leaders in my company and my team, and I put them in a meeting and then I help them with challenges that they may have, and I challenge their mind, but they also have to report to me. So it's a weekly accountability meeting. So they have to report numbers because what happens when we get to a level of success that we get comfortable and then we stop doing the things that we used to do. And then we're like wondering, why are we not growing anymore? Because you stop focusing on the basic things that you used to do. Now you're putting, here's what we do as leader. When we grow as leaders, we put so much time on our team and then we forget about our own business. And I always say we have to lead by example. And for you to help your people, you have to know the new trends. You have to know the new things that on how to sell more or how to present the product even better, right? So we have to be constantly knowing those things because we want to help them, make money. And if we don't know how are we going to help our team? So that's just another thing that I brought in. But I help them with weekly accountability meetings, and then with my personally sponsored, because I have personally sponsored 400 people. I have to have a system with them. And so when they join, I ask them, are you wanting to do this as a business or are you wanting to do this as a hobby? If they say hobby, I just check with them once a month. If they say business, I ask them, how do you want to do this? Do you want to do this steady and slow or do you want to go fast? How are we going to do this business? And I have a plan because if you don't have an onboarding system for them and a checklist, then they're not going to know what to do. And how are you going to celebrate them inside of the team? You have to have a checklist for them. So I ask them those questions and then I ask them, what is your 1 year financial goal? What problem or need are you trying to solve? Do you need extra money, extra time, financial security? Do you want purpose and meaning? What is it that you're wanting to do? How much are you wanting to make? And then I ask them to make their list of 10 best and 10 easiest, which is the 10 easiest are the people that we're going to ask, hey, would you like to try our product or to have a party? Or the 10 best are people that we think will be really good at this company. So that's the first part. And onboarding needs to be just the front and the back. Don't make it too complicated where I get overwhelmed and I don't want to do anything, you know? So we want to be very specific. And then, we go over the lunch thing, we go over their welcome video. And guess what? A lot of people say, okay, we're going to have this whole meeting in 30 minutes and they have to learn all of this. No, just have a meeting with them 15 minutes every week. And here's the thing, Darin, if you were on my team, I would be like, Darin, did you do that one thing that I asked you? Did you fill out the first page? And you're like, well, no, I didn't have time. I was focusing on other things. And I was like, well, here's the focus. We have to go through this. We can't be bringing in other things because you can't be intentional. You're going to be all over, right? So we got to focus on this. So next week, I'll call you again and let me know what you got done. If they don't get nothing done, guess what? I used to blame myself as a leader because people weren't successful, but it wasn't my fault. They didn't do the job. They didn't follow the instructions that we gave them. My husband was in corporate America and he was a general manager, and he will have to create SOPs, standard operation procedures, right? The people have to follow. It's a must thing that you have to do. And so if you don't follow it, then there's consequences that are going to happen. Sometimes we think it's stupid. Sometimes we think it's too basic that we can do it better. But there is a proven system that it's going to work, and you just have to follow the process. It's not a guideline where you just do it however you want to. If you want success, you're going to follow this. And so now, until they do it, I don't meet up with them again. I check on them again. I say, hey, how's life going? And then I have to come up with my leader hat on, because we often have relationships. They call it the relational roadblock, right? Where they're our friends and we don't want to hurt their feelings. And I'm just like, listen, I'm putting my leader's hat on, and you told me that you wanted to go on a cruise, but we're not working towards that. It's been 2 weeks. You haven't done the first page, and it's just answering questions and making your list. So, you haven't even done your launch party. So, how are we going to get to that cruise? Do you really want this, or is this not a good time for you? Because if it's not a good time, I totally understand. I'll come back next month and check on you and see if we can make you know, a better situation out of this. So, that's one of the systems that we have. And then with recruiting, I tell my team that they don't need to be an expert and just send a bunch of information to somebody who just asked about joining. I said, just send the third party tool that we have, the video that we created, 5 minutes, ask them what they like best out of there. And then we have weekly Zoom meetings for opportunity. It lasts 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how many questions do we have. And so I tell them, hey, Darin, are you busy on Monday night at 8 o'clock? That's all I'm asking. And then Darin's going to say, well, no, I'm not busy. I'm just watching Netflix. And I'll be like, well, Darin, can you please come to this meeting? I think it will really help you. You asked me for more information. My upline is going to be there. She's a six-figure earner. She can answer any questions that you may have. And you'll listen to an inspirational story. And it's, whether you want to join or not, it's a very private setting. And so that's how we close our people for them. Every single time somebody brings somebody to the Zoom, we close them. They're signed up within a week. And
Mm,
that's exciting. So it's just following the process, and having funnels, like we said, to be able to create the most out of our day with time freedom. The other day, one of our friends, Rob Sperry, he asked, how many of you take power naps? I was like, I take a power nap every day, 20 minutes. But a lot of people, a lot of network marketers are like, no, we're not going to take a nap. Like, we got to keep hustling. And I'm like, you're exhausting. You're exhausting me. We want that time freedom.
yes, yes. Well, and I can tell why you're having so much massive growth and success. I mean, let's start with the onboarding. Like you said, very simple. Complexity is the enemy of
Mm.
execution. Tony Robbins says that all the time. And so by the inch, it's a cinch, by the yard, it's too hard. And I like how you ask them very specific questions. So you're allowing them to tell you why they joined the business. And
Yes.
I heard this many years ago, and I say it all the time because I like simplicity. And if people go, Darin, what's your superpower? I like to make complicated things very simple. I like to
Yes.
break it down to the basics. Well, people are tuned into their favorite radio station,
Hmm.
WIIFM. What's in it for me? And when someone is, and you did something that's brilliant too, you ask them why they joined, and then you take them through the process, and you give them very simple assignments for a couple reasons. One, they've got to be willing to participate in their own rescue, and you're going to match them energy for energy. And then
Yes.
two, you used their verbiage, their why back to them to go, hey, Andrea, were you serious when you told me you wanted a cruise, or were you joking? Like
Hmm.
you told me I could say this to you when you were off track. And so you're giving that back to them. So I love how it's very simple. If you printed it out, whether it's on your phone or you print it out, it's one page front and back. You're giving them little baby steps to get them some wins under their belt,
Yes.
build their confidence, because that first check is the belief check. And the longer we wait, the colder they get. They're getting further and further away from the fire. Life is more distracting. So I love how you have that simple system, and it takes a genius to keep it simple. If you're not
Yes.
careful, and I can tell with your leader hat, I love how you tell them I'm putting on my leader hat, because in my mind, visually, I'm seeing you go from, nope, hey, you're my buddy, but now you got to tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. I love that, but you're helping them, you know, do what they need to do to get to where they want to be, and you're keeping things very simple. So I love the fact that you're doing that. Then when you talked about your weekly trainings, what I also love the fact that you're duplicating, you're highlighting and putting a spotlight on what you want to encourage. When you're
Hmm.
looking for people that are deserve the recognition, not demand it. So you're like, hey,
Yeah.
they're doing the right things. And all of a sudden, when you put them in front of other people on a Zoom, whether it's on stage, whatever it may be, you double their strength. And then they're
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, like this is exciting. The only time at my job I was recognized was doing something wrong. And now I'm getting recognized and praised for doing these things. It just encourages the right activity. So you have the two weekly
Absolutely.
trainings. Accountability. Again, I
Yes.
want to make sure that everybody gets this. She's given you a lot of golden nuggets, phenomenal tips, and I want to make sure you get this. Accountability is a choice. Like she said,
Hmm.
listen, I'm seeing how much you want this, because I don't have time to waste. We've only got so much energy, in our bucket, in your cup, whatever you want to look at it. And so you're showing me, but when she gives them the ability to hold themselves accountable, they choose accountability, right? Because you can't force somebody to do something they don't want to do. But
Exactly.
Andrea, there's the apathy. If you look up the definition, it's a natural human instinct common to us all to seek a comfort zone where nothing ever changes. And comfort
Yes.
zones aren't, they're not comfortable, right? They're beautiful, but nothing grows in a comfort zone. And we look at sameness as security. So when you know you have to be accountable every week and send the numbers don't lie. Performance
Right.
measured is performance improved. So
Right.
there's so much in what you just did, from your weekly trainings to your onboarding system to what was the other one? And I love how you call it what do you call it? Wham.
Yeah. Wham. Weekly accountability meetings.
Yeah, I love that. I'm gonna
And then
steal that
number
if that's
13
okay.
too.
I'm gonna steal
Well,
that
I
if that's
stole it
okay.
from somebody else, so you can steal it too.
Okay, it's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy the right cat.
Yes.
Yeah, and I stole that
And
too.
then you gotta celebrate people. So whenever they're checking that list, you gotta give them a shout out. Even though it looks simple, oh, somebody just made a post of their launching party. So I celebrate them because that's one of the things that they needed to do. Hey, they finished their 10 best and 10 easies. Congratulations. People like to be recognized. So they're gaining confidence because they're doing those little things. So don't forget to shout out people, especially when they're following the guideline that you've given them.
Mm. Yeah, the way I look at that too, and I'm a visual person, it's almost like a water line. Every month you're raising that water line a little bit more in their confidence. And once, I believe it was Bob Proctor that said, once your mind expands, it never goes back to its original shape. And so I love that too. That's great stuff.
Love
So
it.
celebrate the wins and the successes. All right, Andrea, as we close out, what are your words of wisdom for people that are watching, and they're looking at all the great things that you have in place, the systems and the recognition and the celebration and the onboarding, and for those that are watching going, okay, where do I start? What would you recommend?
So, one of the things that I will really encourage you to do is that you focus on the gain instead of living in the gap. And that is one of the books that I recently read that really changed my mindset. And now I'm focusing on all the gains that I have every single day, which is the wins, the things that I'm doing really good. And I'm focusing on knowing who I am instead of who I am not. Right. So I would really recommend that you read that book and that you focus on the gains. And, I used to want to be the top in my company, top leader, and I'm still going over that. Oh, I'm still going for that rank, but for different reasons. Before it was because I wanted to be recognized as a good leader. I wanted everyone to know that I was a good leader and I was doing everything great, and I needed validation through that rank. Now I'm not going for that. Now I'm going for that rank, but the things that I'm going for is because I know that I'm going to impact people, and I know that I'm going to make a change in the world by just teaching people those principles that I have learned throughout the 10 years, and they're going to change their lives. And because of that, the result is going to be that I'm going to become an iconic impressionista in my company, right? So that's what I'm aiming for. And when I say that I want to make $1 million a month, is because once I heard that, how many people and how many lives you have impacted is the amount of money that you are making. So I'm going for 1 million a month, which is crazy. But that was crazy when my husband heard when I was making about $1,000 a month. I told him we were going to make 10,000 a month, and it happened, and he thought it was crazy, and now he thinks we're crazy by going for 1 million a month. But I'm like, I'm just going to keep impacting people, because Darren, we only have one life. And how many people are going to show up at your funeral? How many people you really impacted, not just financially, but through your words, through your YouTube, through your podcast, through the trainings that you gave totally for free? And how about the people that you give your time to that deserve your time, right? Those are the people who are going to show up at your funeral. And that's my goal. My goal is to impact lives and to help them with time freedom, to help them to find self-worth, not in the things that we do, but in who we are and who created us to be. So I'm excited for the future, and I'm excited to see what this podcast and these videos are going to help people, and you're going to keep on impacting the world as well. So
Yeah, so impressive, and I know you're a person of faith, and so am I. And if you think of, I heard someone tell Billy Graham's story. So whether you believe what we believe or not, it's okay. But here's the thing: most people know who Billy Graham is,
yeah.
and the way that Billy Graham came to believe what he believed was his mom. I think he was going to a party, and his mom's like, "Nope, you're going to church." And she made him go to church. He looked in; it was completely full. He's like, "Okay, I'm out. It's full." And this usher grabbed him and said, "Hey, no, 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 no. There's a place right on the front row," and led him to the front row. He sat down. That was the night that he started believing what he believed and spent his entire life on that mission and impacted millions of people around the world and still impacts people, even though he's not here now. We know
Right.
Billy Graham, but we don't even know the name of the usher. So
Right.
this profession, I don't know of another profession that allows people to go out and directly and indirectly affect the lives of hundreds to thousands to millions of people. And Andrea, you are definitely doing that. So I'm super proud of you, and
Thank you.
definitely appreciate all your time that you've spent with our audience, our family, and can't wait to keep seeing you climb those ranks. We're cheering you on to $1 million a month.
Thank
So thank you so much for your time, and
you.
can't wait to see you at an upcoming event here in the near future as well with our great
Yes.
friend Rob Sperry.
Yes. Thank you so much, Darren, and I cannot wait. God
All
bless
right.
y'all.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you got a ton of value. If you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. If you're looking for ways that you and I can connect and also how to reach me, I will make sure to put all of that in the show notes and more. And then feel free to screenshot and tag me on your social media. And probably the easiest way to do that is just grab the direct link. That way you can share it not only on social, but with your friends, your leadership, your organization. And it would mean the world to me if you would give me a review on Apple, because that's going to help to get the word out. And the goal here is to make a positive impact on the lives of as many people as we possibly can. And that's definitely going to be a big help. So I want to thank you in advance for your help and your support. So appreciate you tuning in and can't wait to see you on the next show.